Susie. Why do I feel like it's been 1 bajillion years since we've spoken?
Yes, happy December. What happened? I thought we were in February.
Yeah, what happened? I love when it gets to this time of year because I just like to be like, oh, it's basically my birthday. And then anybody who's like, it's not your birthday, I'm like, oh yeah, watch this. We're in December, which is basically like Christmas. And when Christmas is here, that means it's New Year's. And New Year's is going to just fly by. And soon it's going to be February before we know it because we just are going to stay inside all January because it's cold. And then it's going to be Valentine's Day. And then my birthday. So what are you going to get me?
Yeah. What do you want? Oh
no,
my
not
gosh.
you. This is what I say to whoever I'm dating at the time. Eli, are you listening?
Yeah, what is he going to get you? Better be a shiny diamond. I'm just saying.
Oh my God,
just
so
something
funny.
to think about,
yes.
Eli.
What if? That would be, it will be like
I mean,
a
I
year
was
that we've been
harassing him
together.
about it. That's a long time.
In adult world, that's basically 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're over the age of 35, that's 10 years. That's like,
things speed up.
They do.
We talked about this on the show, how like when you're a baby,
yes,
6 months is half of your life.
Correct.
Okay, so then the older you get, the shorter the percentage of your life each moment is.
Right.
So, Eli, what I'm saying is...
There you go. It's been 1,000,000 years. What are you waiting for?
Yes, she does. I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. We did a prediction of like how we thought Thanksgiving would go. Were you right about it?
Yeah. Did I predict it would be great?
I think you did. You were like, yeah, it's going to be good. Miami.
Oh my gosh. Okay, it was so fun. But I had what might be one of the most Sarah moments that has ever taken place.
What
so
happened?
right up there with like, oh, put your foot in there. Like, could you say anything? Like, Sarah. Okay, so as you know, we've talked about in here, Eli is a whistler.
Oh, yeah.
But Eli is not the only person in his family who whistles. His father is also a whistler.
Genetic.
It is genetic.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, Eli told me a while back, like, he's like, oh yeah, my dad, you think I whistle a lot, just wait till you hear my dad. Also, my dad is worse than me because he whistles the same 4 songs, which I
Lord.
laughed at, but like kept in the back of my head. So
Right.
then, now we've like had wonderful Thanksgiving together. We've hung out with family. It's probably been like 7 or 8 days. We're like on day 7 or 8 of the trip. We're all going out to dinner. Now it's just me, Eli's older brother, and his parents. And we're all getting into the car, and it's late at night. And Eli and his dad are in the front, like sitting shotgun, and Eli's dad's driving, and I'm in the back, and it's dark, and I like can't really see, like, or wasn't really like, I don't know, paying attention or saw their faces, and I just hear whistling, and I,
oh my God, I know what's happening.
yep, and I say, okay, can we choose another song, just like that, and
Sarah!
I grab Eli's shoulders as I say it. Like I'm saying it to him. And Eli goes, I have not been whistling. And I just about died.
Yeah.
His brother was like, welp, it was really nice knowing you. Sarah was
Yeah.
great for a while. And then
You
like
had a good run.
Yeah, that's exactly. And Richie is who we were with.
Yeah.
And Richie was like, well, you were great for a while. That was fun. Like, and so one of the things, they just kept the jokes going. I was like, oh, I couldn't have possibly
What song was it?
Peter and the Wolf.
I don't even know that.
Which I love too. And then I was like, okay, time to choose Susie.
What did the dad say?
Well, at first he didn't hear, and we were all cracking up. And then he's like, the funniest part about this is I didn't even hear what she said. And I was like, nobody say anything.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God.
And he's like, and the truth is I'm never going to stop whistling. So, like, I was just, I just about died. And
I
then they
can't
were
even
making like,
imagine whistling in a vehicle.
it was fun. I had no problem. And they were both doing it, and I had no problem. Like
She's
really, it was like
backpedaling.
I am backpedaling 100%. and then they, you know, the family, like they love to play card games, and one of the games that they all play and everybody loves is this game called Asshole. And if you lose in the game, you're the asshole. And they're like, so I think we should just change the name of the game to Sarah, and if you lose, you're the Sarah. And like I was like, oh god, it was like because they were like.
So none of these family members mind the incessant whistling?
No, I think they do, and they laugh about it and joke about it, and like, but you know, he's not going to do anything, and he shouldn't. Do what you want, whistle away.
In a vehicle, I feel like it's the same as farting. Like,
it was, and it was
vehicle.
right. We were like walking up to the car, and we were just getting in, and we weren't even. It's not like we were driving and it was silent and he was whistling. That like it was like we were walking to the car, and then I was like, okay, then I realized, yes. Oh,
that is
God.
tragic.
Classic Sarah. Classic. What?
Well, it happens.
And I was like laughing so hard. Like, I cannot wait to talk on the podcast about this.
Yeah, I've seen you have those moments and you do laugh really hard.
So hard. So yeah. I was like, I can't.
It's almost worth it just for that.
Yeah. And his mom was laughing just as hard. We were both cracking up. Like, so funny.
I can't imagine. How long have they been married? Probably like, what, 40 years or something?
Yeah, I think so. Like 50.
Can you imagine listening to those songs all those
They are the
years?
cutest. They're so in love. Like, really cute. And they have their little inside jokes and, like, giggle at the end of the table. Like, they're the cutest.
Wow, she can really see past the whistling.
I love, love, love those two.
Good for her.
Yeah.
All right. I'll allow it.
Relationship goals for sure. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it really is. It's like they are just really sweet to each other and kind, but then also are like, what are you doing? You like just exactly how you should be, and like call each other out. And they were so fun. We played pickleball together and they beat us.
Oh my God, pickleball.
Yeah. And, you know, they were just like so cute on a team together. And so it was just the best.
Are you good at that, pickleball?
It was my first time. I was okay, but no. His mom and dad both, like, they beat me like 4 times.
And what do? You just like ping pong, but big size.
It's real fun, Suze. I think it's going to be my next thing.
Oh, God.
I know. She hates it. She hates everything about it.
That is, I cannot believe you just said that. It's going to be
What?
my next thing. Like, I just can't believe that.
Did I have things?
Accepted.
Snowboarding. Right.
I just accepted that you have things.
Right.
And now you want to add something to this bouquet of annoyingness.
I know.
Like
Isn't it
powder
the worst?
season.
I know. Yeah.
Isn't it the worst?
The worst.
Oh, God. All right.
But I feel like you can help me probably come up with a cute name for a pickleball team. Which, like, I need to crowdsource this. What do you guys think? Something cute.
God. Did they do, like, puns or something?
I don't know, but I'm going to.
I bet when you're playing pickleball, though, like, you get dehydrated and you think, like, I could really go for a liquid IV.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, Eli was going he spent the night at my house last night, and he's skiing today. And he was like, oh, I feel like from just, you know, our weekend out and, like, being on vacation, I'm really dehydrated. Like, my muscles are like, yeah. Like, and I was like, I have the perfect thing. So I made him drink liquid IV, and he was very grateful. And now he's probably having a wonderful hydrated day on the mountain.
Right, because liquid IV is a great hydration station. Like these babies, you just pour this powder into your drink, into your water, and then it will hydrate you 2 to 3 times faster than plain old water. And it'll be delicious because they have every flavor under the sun.
So good.
And it is great. You can put them in your bag if you're traveling. You can put them in your purse. You can just keep them in the car, whatever. My friend,
kids who are like, oh, I want juice. Yeah, here you go. Drink them.
Yeah, don't give them the juice.
No, don't do that. Give them this. We were saying your friend who...
Yeah, my friend Leah, the blue ribbon winner of my science fair.
Yeah. Oh,
partner.
Correct. Yes.
I send her my extras. If I have extra, I will send them to her. And she sent them with her daughter who went on a missions trip, like doing good deeds around the world. And liquid IV was how they stayed hydrated. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What do I need to do? Yeah. It has vitamins in it. It's electrolytes. It will do the job. Grab your liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or get 20% off
Yes.
when you shop Better Hydration at liquidiv.com and use our code CANDY at checkout. That's 20% off anything with code CANDY at liquidiv.com. Go with that. I mean, sure, you can get it at Costco, but don't you want it 20% cheaper?
And you want to support our show. Hello.
Yeah, come on, Jesus. Yeah. All right. Let's get started here. I needed to do a little documentary roundup.
Oh, yay.
Because it was a long, Thanksgiving weekend where I was able to enjoy some things. I would say best documentary or docuseries of the year, maybe several years.
Whoa, I can't wait.
I should have an award ceremony.
Yeah, definitely.
Where I have nominees.
Hey, for Documentary Club, that's a really good idea that we should do our
best of.
Yeah, people can vote on it. Now we're just brainstorming over here.
We're just doing our work.
Yeah, now we're working.
I didn't think it was going to be the best, but it really was, which was on Netflix, the Pepsi Where's My Jet?
I keep getting, it keeps coming up in my, recommendations, and I keep passing over it because I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
Tell me what even
when
is
it recommended it to you, did you think, how good could this be? Or
I skipped over it because I'm like, I don't even like Pepsi.
That's why you skipped
I don't know.
over
I
it?
didn't know what it was. I was too busy watching Wednesday. So come on. Yeah.
Okay, well, back when I was in high school in the late 90s, there was a promotion that Pepsi ran where you could collect Pepsi points and get merch with them. And I was so into this. And I was so into it that I would drive around all the neighborhoods on recycle night and get their Pepsi products out of their recycle bins. And
this is why I love you.
I would cut off the points to then redeem them for, you could get T-shirts and jackets and whatever, dumb Pepsi merch. Yes. But in my mind, it was super fun and cool. And there was this ad that ran constantly at the time that was this kid in high school that was T-shirt, 80 points, leather jacket, 200 points. And then at the very end of the commercial, he arrives to school in a fighter jet. And it was Pepsi jet, 3 million points or whatever. Yeah. And so this cute guy, I mean, he was 20, he wasn't a kid. 20-year-old guy was kind of
God, are we really at that age where we look at somebody who's 20 and we're like, that kid? I think we are. We are.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah, he
continue.
seemed like a kid, and he was not really having much luck in life. He didn't really know what he wanted to do. And he saw the commercial and he's like, I want that Harrier jet. I want to get that. And on the commercial, there was no fine print. There was no asterisk that was just
terms and conditions apply. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was okay. So he had become this hobby climber, a mountain climber. And he had these friends that he would go around and climb peaks with. And one of the guys he would do this with happened to be very wealthy. And so he said to the guy, I really want to get that jet. And I've done the math. And I need to buy this many million, Pepsis. And we can put them in a warehouse. And he tried to come up with a business plan. But
right.
It wasn't working. And so then he spotted the little catalog, which I had, which told you how much each item was costing in the points. And at the end of the catalog, it said, if you collected some points, you could make up the difference by paying 10 cents a point.
Yeah.
And he did the math, and the Harrier jet was worth $32 million. And it was being sold in the commercial for 3 million Pepsi points. And he thought that would, or no, it was 7 million. And he thought that would only be $700,000. Wow. For a $32 million jet.
Correct. This is a good deal.
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
And so the guy that was like, all right.
I'll give you the money.
And so they sent in the check. And Pepsi was like, okay, we were just kidding. And they sent him coupons for 2 things of Pepsi.
Fuck off. Yeah, okay. Great. This is so good.
So they sued They sued Pepsi, and this is the story of what happened. And the reason why it's so great is because every single person in this series is a character. Like a total wackadoo,
wonderful.
like awesome character that you would only see in the movies, but they're real people. And so it's like entertaining and funny, but also like, why couldn't he get that jet?
Right.
And so like just watching how it unfolds. My favorite scene was when they finally ended up in like the mediation with the Pepsi attorneys. And the attorneys were like, we'll give you $1 million settlement to like go away.
Yeah.
And so the investor and the kid go out, and the investor had told the kid all along, like, you're the boss, like you get to decide. And so he goes, what do you want to do? And the kid goes, I want that jet. And so they went back in the room, and the investor goes, Johnny wants the jet. And so then they have to continue on.
Johnny wants the jet. That's
all
so
the
great.
Pepsi like lawyers were like, oh, like well, you an idiot. Take $1 million.
Great. Oh, this is so funny.
It's so good. And it was just fun to watch, but it was also like I thought it was a really interesting concept.
Yeah.
You know, what is right in advertising, and like what is just sort of like you should know better.
There's a lot of as advertising. Like, isn't there a woman right now who's suing Kraft for the macaroni and cheese that says ready in 3.5 minutes? And she says it's not 3.5 minutes because it doesn't take into account the actual time that it takes to set up, put the water in, da-da-da. I don't know what's going to go on with it, but they're suing Kraft for this.
So it
false
cooks in that
advertising.
amount of time. But
In
it's
the
not
microwave.
like if you account for everything.
Yes.
Well, I think that's insane.
Right.
What side do you land on with the mac and cheese?
It's one of those things where we're doing this to make a bigger point about advertising. Like, remember we talked a while ago about vanilla and how they did this with the vanilla flavor, and said now they call it with vanilla flavored additives or whatever it is, or like,
yes,
you know,
it's not
vanilla
exactly,
and other flavors or something like that.
Because they were getting it out of like beavers' buttholes.
Yeah, and they were calling it like vanilla, but you can't. You have to like really say what it is. And so they have to use these extremes to get advertisers to stop like being fucking shady. And so I understand the
you
bigger
like the
purpose.
principle.
I do like the principle, because I don't like the, you know, somebody making a buck off of bullshit.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to make a buck off of bullshit to stop the people who are making bigger bucks off of bigger bullshit. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. And like things, this Pepsi one, there is so much more to this story in terms of their personal lives and stuff that add to it and make you think like these guys kind of like get what life's all about, which is not money or even Harrier jets. It's like, let's have an adventure.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. I like this.
It was. Yeah, it was really
great.
delightful. So
Well,
you're
leave it to the
thinking
mountain
about it.
climbers.
Yeah, and they're
like
still
that.
like they showed them in Antarctica. They still go to. This is 25 years later, and they're still doing their thing and being hilarious. It's a riot. So that will make your day if you watch that one. Then also in my documentary roundup, I will tell you about the Phil Spector documentary, but that's only after I tell you why the holidays are coming and you have a kid in your life and you should get them KiwiCo.
This is the perfect gift if you're like, I don't want this kid in my life to just have more stuff.
More stuff. Yeah.
We need, if we're going to have stuff, let's get stuff with a purpose that like will help them learn, will be interesting, exciting to do, but also
kind of what I just
provide,
said about
like,
the Pepsi thing, where it's like
yes.
you want an experience, not a jet.
Right.
You want like life to
The
be
good
fun
stuff.
and interesting. Yeah.
Yes, the meaningful
And KiwiCo
stuff.
provides that because they send you a project for your kid to do that will teach them about science and technology and engineering. and they won't even really know that they're learning because it's so much fun.
This is also kids of all ages, because I have some friends who are like in couples that I think would also like this to do as like a date night
Ooh,
thing.
that's not a bad idea.
I know, because they have it for different age groups, and I think
Yeah.
that is a really cute gift for like, I don't know, a new couple, and you're like, here, get this like monthly box subscription. Come on, adorable.
That's a great idea because it's something to do together. You know how people started doing puzzles like over the pandemic?
Yes.
Because it's something to do together that keeps you occupied and it
Yes.
can help relationships. But I mean, ideal for kids because my God, we got to keep those guys busy. Give awesome this holiday season with KiwiCo. Get your first month of any crate line free at kiwico.com/braincandy. That's your first month free at kiwico.com/braincandy. Every age, they have something special for all of you. The Phil Spector documentary is on Hulu. Phil Spector, if you're not familiar, is one of the greatest music producers of all time. He produced songs like Be My Baby. What else? Oh, he had an entire Christmas album that's like legendary. And we learned about him a little bit in that documentary that we watched, 20 Feet from Stardom, because he was Darlene Love's producer.
Right.
And the Ronettes, and he's famous for creating something called the Wall of Sound, which was a new way of engineering and producing music where, like, he would have 5 pianos all play the same part. So it's like not different parts. It's all the same. So it created this like layered, but it's all the same notes. And so your brain, like, it just feels rich.
Wow.
And he'd have all these horns and then the way that they would echo the sound created a very specific noise. But he was a little bonkers and in the end was convicted of murder.
Yeah. I feel like the haircut gave it away.
Those were wigs, if you can believe
What? Stop it right now. No. Why would you choose that? Hang on.
Because, okay, Google his hair. Google Phil Spector's hair. You'll get all those images. And then Google Phil Spector's mugshot, and you'll see what he actually had going
what are you doing with the hair, sir?
Mm-hmm.
His hair is full of secrets.
If you haven't seen this hair, I'll put it on our Instagram, but you should Google it because it's like unreal. And he never admitted that those were wigs, but they interviewed his wig maker in the documentary. So,
he looks terrifying in the mugshot. Susie, this is going to give me nightmares now.
Yeah, he's a real character.
Character is such a nice way to put it.
He was troubled. He for sure had some demons. Mm-hmm. And in the end, he went to jail for murder of a woman who he met that night. This isn't like someone he was in a relationship with. He wasn't married to this woman. This was someone he met at the House of Blues in L.A. She was working there. And then they went back to her house, and she died, and he was convicted of the murder.
It seems like you're not convinced.
I am convinced. I feel bad because his daughter follows me on Instagram, and she was in the documentary, and she does not think he did it. So, like, I can imagine what that would feel like if it were your dad or someone you loved, and you didn't want to believe it.
Yeah.
And I could see how you could convince yourself based on like some of the things from you know what? Don't you think it's weird how oftentimes like the ballistic and physical evidence is the most confusing thing, and like is the part where juries are like, but wait, because like he had on a white suit that night and he really didn't have much blood on him, and
that
so
would be hard
like
to
almost
not get white.
Almost none.
Right.
So I could see how the jury or the daughter could think, well, if he shot her,
Yeah.
then
There
he
should be
should be covered in it.
blood. Yeah.
So I can see how that would
Yeah.
be.
There's
compelling.
questions that people have.
But he was famous for a fear of abandonment. And as a result, if you were even out with him at a restaurant and you were like, you know what, I got to go hit the sheets, he would like do everything to prevent that. And at his house, he had doors that locked where you couldn't leave. They locked from the outside.
Okay.
So if you were inside and tried to leave, you couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in the like area right outside the door with her purse on. And I think she wanted to leave, and he didn't want her to leave.
Yeah. Oh, that is really scary.
But mostly it's just this feeling of like, what can happen when someone is so brilliant and so special and talented, but they have darkness, which oftentimes comes with creativity.
And it can go unchecked for too long because of that. And because of people who maybe, I feel like a lot of what we're seeing with Kanye West is falling into the same kind of thing where we're just like, this is mental illness. This is not health. That was somebody like, this is not okay.
Well, and you know how, like, if a really wealthy, successful person has, for example, addiction, like, let's say it's alcoholism, that it can go a lot longer without getting help because there are so many people that are willing to turn a blind eye. Mm-hmm. They have a lot riding on that person continuing on that path. And so it's so sad because this is clearly a person that needed help and instead this lovely woman who was reduced to this title of like B-movie actress.
Oh, yeah. That's sad.
And I think it sort of diminished who she was.
Right.
And really it's just like, this was a real sad situation that should not have happened. Yeah. He was one of the people I wrote to in jail, but he never wrote me back. Mm. But he died, I think, last year from COVID.
Wow. Okay.
In jail, yeah. But anyway, if you're interested in music, especially because people don't often know his name now, especially because he's older, was back in the day. But his music is like the soundtrack of our lives. Yeah. And it's really interesting to watch his story if you're interested.
I knew him from his criminal proceedings more than in like court stuff than from his music.
I saw your Spotify thing and I'm like, really? I just cannot accept this stuff you listen to.
So funny.
Like, I don't even think I recognize like any of the names of the artists that are your most played.
Yeah.
Like, what was that number one?
By Remy Wolf. It's a song called Woo. It's so good. If you listen to it, you'd love it.
Do you think I would know it if I heard it?
Absolutely not, because it's not that.
Where do you even hear this crap?
I think my brother introduced me to her.
It's a lady?
Yeah. She's really good. She's badass. You'd like her,
for real.
She's totally brain candy brainiac, for sure. That type.
I'm sure she's great, but there's this feeling in me that like, is this silly? It's like self-centered, but it's this feeling of like, if someone likes a genre of music that I don't, I think they're faking. I really do. Like,
you
heavy
think
metal.
I faked all of the Spotify?
Like there's
somehow
no way.
I listen to only music that I don't like, but just so I could like have a cool Spotify rap thing. That's funny.
Well, like when I see that, then I realize I'm wrong. But when they say like I like heavy metal or I like rap, I'm like,
right.
But do you?
Right. Well, I think Eli felt the same because we were talking about our favorite music and I was like, oh, I really love the Fugees and like named a few other ones. And then they were in my top 5 bands and he was like, I didn't know you liked them like that. And I was like, what do you think I meant when I said they were my favorite?
Truly.
Like, what do you think I mean? I mean, I listen to them enough to be in my top 5. Like, some people like Taylor Swift, some people like Fugees.
But do they? It sounds made up.
It's not.
Okay. At any rate.
It's really funny.
what's not funny is how much I love Thrive Cosmetics.
Yep, just re-upped on my the moisturizer, tinted
CC
moisturizer.
cream?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, the moisturizer?
No, it's tinted moisturizer. That was what you said, CC
yeah.
cream. And my favorite of all time, that tubing mascara.
Yeah, the tubing mascara. Then when I run out of something that I've used previously, then I replace it with a Thrive item. So I just got the setting powder.
Oh, good.
And what else did I get? Oh, the eye primer, because I have deep set eyes, so they smudge if I don't get that.
Yeah.
Every single time I've gotten their stuff, I've been impressed. I've never thought, oh, this is inferior to anything.
Right.
It's always really great, and I will never go back.
Mm-hmm.
I was out with my Les's the other night, and she was like, "Do you really mean it?" Like, it's so fun. Do people do that to you?
Yeah,
where you're like,
all the time.
They want to make sure that it's not just an ad or something, but it's true. These products are fantastic. They have, like she said, they have the mascara and the powder. They have every kind of makeup, and they're all great. Lip gloss. Celebrate the season of giving and try Thrive Cosmetics today. Right now, you can get up to 45% off their best-selling products when you purchase select holiday sets by visiting thrivecosmetics.com/braincandy. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/braincandy to start shopping for those holiday sets. Cool. They have a lot of I was looking at them the other day. Great stocking stuffer.
Ooh, yeah,
so
I want that color
out.
stick, the thing that you can use on your cheeks.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I screenshot that when I saw it on Instagram. I was like, why don't I have that?
Yeah, because I can't be bothered with a million products. Just give me one thing that I could use on everything.
And you can use it on your eyes.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Sarah, you're so right about that. Okay.
I love that.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Okay. So the New York Times recently did a story about compulsive lying.
Oh.
And it was talking about how psychologists and all you guys in your field are interested in what they think is like something they missed. So like typically when we think of a compulsive liar, we think of like the real like kind of like evil almost.
Yeah, I was going to say malicious lying, like lying with bad intent or manipulative intent, negative.
Yes,
deceitful.
And like they're plotting, and so they're lying and scheming and whatever, and they are saying that maybe they've missed this other kind of compulsive liar who is nonviolent, non-threatening in the traditional way, but they cannot stop. And they specifically looked at this one guy who basically lost everything because he could not quit lying. He lost his job, and his marriage is like always in jeopardy because he was like lying about everything all the time.
Like what kind of things are we talking?
Is
it kind of like, what'd you have for dinner last night? Oh, I had chicken, but he really had fish.
It was more like accomplishments.
Oh,
resume style.
Okay. Because it feels like even when you describe those two different kinds, that what's at the root of the part or the one that people missed is doing it for self-preservation. And if this feeling of, if I don't do
like
this,
feeling
then
of inadequacy.
I will somehow like be rejected or unsafe. And so in order to protect myself, I have to do this. This serves this function. This behavior serves a function of keeping me safe.
Yeah, and he would lie about like, I got this award at work, or when he would apply for a job, he'd act like he was like a Tony Award-winning Broadway guy, and it was all just false. And then he got caught because his wife, he went on a trip to like what he said was Mongolia. I don't even really know where he was. But then he was like, I'm going to climb Mount Everest. And he would claim that, like, when his work called, he was like, I'm on Mount Everest right now.
Oh
and he wasn't. And once his wife sort of picked up on this, she started going through his emails and stuff and realized, like, everything was false. So they interviewed him and talked to him about his lying. And he described it as like, and in the article, they sort of described it as almost like Tourette's. In fact, they used the word Tourette's. Like they compared it to that.
I don't think
felt.
so. Tourette, this feels like different.
To me, it sounded more like addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I don't do this, or some coping strategy, some negative coping strategy. Yeah, like addiction or like
where he knew we
would have to look at like this is where I feel like brain scans and those kind of things come in handy, because I would be curious to know what part of the brain lit up when he is lying. Is it the reward center, like he's getting a dopamine fix from it? Or is it the fear center where he has to do this as like a response, I need to save myself or protect myself in this way? I want to know. Or is it involuntary in something like Tourette's? That's not the same thing as any of those other three. I need to see a brain scan. Well, we can do this. Hook him up. Come on.
And he sort of framed it as if he's in recovery, as if he's like very trying to be very intentional. When he gets the desire to lie, he like analyzes why and tries to work through it with a therapist and stuff like that. And he had written this piece for Newsweek, I think it was, where it was like, I got canceled and it ruined my life. And then he described like what happened, which to me is so disingenuous. Like, you didn't get canceled. You got fired because you fucking lied about everything, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
But they said, you know, he was like real proud of himself because he's like on the straight and narrow now. But when he went out for a walk, the journalist was interviewing his wife and she was like, yeah, he like exaggerated even in that Newsweek article and like gave examples of it. And so it was clear that he hasn't beat it yet.
I want to know what the others. This feels like there's more. It just feels like I don't have all the pieces of the puzzle.
Have you ever felt like you met a compulsive liar or were in the presence of one?
Yeah, you and I both know this person.
Is it a male or... Oh, it's a female.
Male.
Who is it?
Yeah.
Text it to me.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I didn't know you thought this person was a compulsive liar.
I heard from his exes that he was.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, and from people who knew him, from people who were close to him, that it would be like about weird things, about like, and he would lie about things that were very easy to like point out were not lies. Like, you know, oh, my girlfriend never came to my house before. And meanwhile, his new girlfriend's there looking at pictures on his family's mantle of the ex-girlfriend at their house. Like, what do you mean? She's right there. Like, this is very easy.
In that case, what was driving that in your
I think
estimation?
it's the rush. Like, there's a feeling of like power and control. Yes, it's power. It's
that
like,
I can see.
I can do this, and it's fun for me. And it feels, I feel like that falls into that first category where it's kind of like, not necessarily manipulative or like but it feels like a kind of like a narcissistic kind of, I'm going to control people with this. But that is probably like what the psychologist said. That's like our typical understanding of one.
But whenever, in the cases I've been around or in this article, it seems like it's driven by a sense of like inadequacy. Like they think unless they pretend like there's something special, that they are climbing Everest or winning Tonys on Broadway, that they just like would rather die.
Yeah.
But like, why don't you just try to do those things instead of lying about it? It's harder, I guess.
Yeah.
It's harder to climb Everest than to lie about it.
And then, yeah, that's interesting. Because it almost seems like maybe it's harder to lie about it. But,
do you think?
I mean, you just have to go. I feel like I would have to. It feels like you kind of fact check, like pics or it didn't happen.
I know. Well, because he was posting pics on Facebook, but like they were photoshopped and stuff.
No!
Yeah.
See, that feels like, why
so
even?
embarrassing. And
You know,
like
but essentially-
everyone knows it.
Don't you think that this is just, in a way, like, to me, it feels like it falls under the umbrella of catfishing.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that is, that the person who's creating the false identity online and making, like, whatever, that feels similar to this.
Yeah.
And that's kind of addiction. Like, there are some addiction things that are with that, too.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Interesting.
Would you say you've lied about anything in the last 24 hours?
Yeah, probably. Let me
Really?
think. Well, no, I don't know. I just say that because we always like lie
Well,
and we
right.
don't even know it. Like,
Okay.
oh, well, probably when my boyfriend's like, "Are you mad?" Something, no, I'm fine. And there really was something I was mad at.
That's classic.
Yeah, I was not fine.
Right.
But then I told him later.
I've changed it because Adam would be like, "What's wrong?" And then I'd say nothing, which is a lie. So now I've changed it to nothing I want to talk about right now.
That is a very good one.
Because it's true. I don't want to talk about it.
Yes.
But I
okay.
also
I'm going to
don't
steal
wanna-
that.
Yeah, do that.
Nothing that I would like to talk about at this moment.
Yeah. Well, in this, they did a study. They said that most people are pretty honest, but then there's 5% that are just fucking lying about everything, and that they're just crazy liars. So they said 60% of respondents reported telling no lies at all in the preceding 24 hours. 24% reported telling one or two. Mm-hmm. And then the overall average was like 1.65, so like almost 2. Because as it turned out, a small group of people lied a lot. Like,
it's funny.
And they said it's totally different from like an antisocial personality disorder.
Yeah.
And that usually it prevents them from having real deep relationships. Like they're usually not able to maintain a romantic relationship because you would have to lie constantly.
Yeah. It
So
would be
they
hard
usually
for
end up
me to
single.
do a show, 669 episodes or 70 episodes of a show, and have them be all lies. It feels like when your life was on reality television, it's easier to fact check.
Yeah.
And you're a little more
Well,
honest.
that's the thing. We're like almost honest to a fault.
Correct.
Like
this is like
us and reality people in general.
yeah, it's like oversharing too much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, actually, I don't have to say all this.
Yes. But like, you know, even if they do end up having friends or a significant other, that like it's exhausting trying to keep up with all the like, who did I tell what to?
That's the part that would be the part that would be
because
hard.
Sarah was like, because I always comment on how Sarah doesn't lie, and she's like, I just can't keep up with it.
I can't remember. I would be like, fuck, what did I say? Like,
She's like, it's not some sort of virtue.
it's not.
that I just can't keep up.
I
with
couldn't
all the-
remember my own lies. Like I'd have to like write them down. So it's
And that's
easier
also
to
why
just-
she said she didn't date more than one person at the same time.
correct, because I can't remember I can't keep them straight. So I'll be like,
Well,
and I
so
made like
hey.
you make that mistake one time, and I was like to somebody, I was like, don't you remember we were just here last week? Nope, wasn't you. Never mind.
One thing I've never lied about is how much I love ritual vitamins, though.
Amen. There we go.
That is a true story.
Oh,
These things are awesome. And I'm so thankful, too, because I need a lot of vitamin D because it's very gloomy in Pittsburgh. And so having that on my routine has been great for me because they got it covered with the multivitamin. And they also have the shakes if you are a person that works out or you just like...
Oh,
a lot
protein
of
is so
people-
important. Like
Yeah.
I feel like it is something that often gets overlooked or is really easy to miss. We need way more protein than you think. It will help so much in like balancing out your diet and like helping you stay full. It's very important.
It's very handy. And these are packed with 20 grams of protein per serving, and they are plant-based. It's grown from freaking peas, but it tastes like delicious vanilla. So you figure that out. I don't understand how they do it. It's the same way they make vitamins taste like mint. I don't get it,
Love
but
it.
I'm glad they do. Ready to shake up your protein ritual? To make trying something new easier, Ritual's offering our followers 10% off their first 3 months when you shop online at ritual.com/braincandy. Prefer to shop in person? Ritual is now available at Whole Foods.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still on the prenatal one because it has, I always am iron deficient, and that one has iron in it and has all these things that are like iron, folate, vitamin B12. And I also recently read this article that talked about how iron and folate, like those things especially, help reduce ADHD symptoms. And if you and if you're iron deficient, then you can have more intense mood and behavioral issues with ADHD.
Why do you think you are deficient? Like, what's that from?
I don't know.
Is that found in meat mostly?
Yeah, meat and leafy greens, and I just have a hard time holding on, like getting enough iron.
Oh, wow. That is
but
good to know.
A lot of spinach, and I eat, like, so I just have to try. And
yeah, Gretchen said she loved your tip about
cooking in a cast iron
pasta. Yeah. Well, no, how you cook pasta and then you strain it with the spinach in the colander.
Oh, yes.
Like, that is a hack.
Thanks, Suze. I didn't even know. Yeah, thanks, Gret.
Yeah, because like you don't want to cook it too long. You just the water cooks it real quick.
Yeah, real quick, and you don't lose.
You're
any
making
of the
days
good,
over
good
here,
stuff.
Sarah.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Okay, so compulsive lying, don't do that. It's so super weird.
Yeah, don't do that.
And then they even pointed out how like just pointing out that someone's lying to you, like even if it's super obvious, is so hard. And I thought that was such a good point.
So hard. I was just about to ask, like, what do you even do when?
Right.
Because sometimes when somebody is lying, it can make you feel like the crazy one, because you're like, wait, I saw you do like.
Of course, as a mom, I see this with my kid.
Right.
And even with him, like, I don't ever want to be like, you're fucking lying.
Right. Yeah.
Because, like, it's usually because of shame or something.
Yeah. So you got to come in with, like, it's okay if you.
It's so awkward.
It's so awkward. I love, the comedian Eddie Izzard. He's got a great bit where he talks about how, like, when we're little, we lie so much. We're like, nope, I didn't do it at all. And then we hit this age where we then make we like over admit things. Like, when we were a kid, we're like, no, I didn't break the lamp. It was the cat. Like, it wasn't me. And then you get older, you're like, I'm so sorry. I broke this lamp. And also I spilt over here. And also I did this. And like, we're like overly admitting all the things in like an attempt to not be that. It's true.
Yeah. Right. I don't know. It's complicated. People are complicated.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there was an article in the New York Times also that was about, I'm sure you've seen it because you're a fucking weirdo on TikTok, which you TikTok people really drive me nuts. I'm sorry, but
I'm not. I try to have balance. Okay, I don't. It's fine.
You're actually not. I don't actually notice it with you, but certain people that I know that go on TikTok all the time truly think that this is like a reliable news source.
Oh,
just like housewives talking about something they did a deep dive on.
Oh God!
And they'll report it to me, and I'll be like, "Wait, how do I not know about it?" And they're like, "Well, I heard about it on TikTok." I'm like, don't talk to me. Anyway, so the New York Times did a story about this thing that's gone viral on TikTok about the world's most quietest room, the quietest room in the world. And how people that went into this room would report like that they kind of like lost their marbles,
hallucinate and like go crazy.
Yes. Yeah, did you see this on TikTok?
I did not see it on TikTok, but I feel like I've heard the buzz about this thing.
Makes me fucking nuts. Well, I remember hearing about it. There was a book that came out that I still haven't read that is on my list that is called 0 Decibels.
Yeah.
And I wanted to read it.
There was another book or something else we read that talked about
the
this.
Quiet.
Yes.
No, not the Quiet Place. Something, I forget what it's called, but it's
like
about
the Quiet
that
Zone
area
or something like. Yes.
Where they're not allowed to have cell phones, but they all fucking do.
Yeah.
Yeah. All that jazz. So there's this sort of like mythology that's been perpetuated about like what happens if you're in an absolute quiet zone where you go in this room and you're in there for 30 seconds and you like you need to go to a mental ward or whatever. So this New York Times reporter was like, all right, let's go see. And this poor place, which is just this room where you can go to, nobody cared about it. And now they have to charge like $600 for these bozos to go in there because they were getting so many TikTok weirdos being like, I want to try the room. Okay, so the journalist goes in there and you spend 3 hours and it's like negative decibels or something. Like there's no, and so allegedly you're going to hear your heartbeat. You're going to hear your blood inside your body. You're going to hear like a hair move on your head and it's going to sound like a tornado or something. And then, so the reporter basically, it turns out that none of that happens. It's real quiet and it's kind of weird at first, but then you get used to it and it's no big whoop.
Yeah.
So shut up about it, TikTokers.
Yeah.
She said, like, basically that these hallucinations that they claimed would happen, the real hallucination was all the people on TikTok claiming that silence could be a hazard to your health.
It's crazy. I think what this was also the misunderstanding or maybe miscommunication of what could happen if you're in a sensory deprivation chamber. That when you take away all senses and it's like you're floating and it's silent and there's no light and your brain starts to fill in the holes.
Yeah.
But
and she did comment on that and talk to experts and said, yeah, sure, like your brain will try to make something out of nothing. But it's
then
not like you go insane.
No. So I went to, I think I talked about this on an episode a bit ago, the theater of the mind where we were in the dark room and then the lights went out. There was a moment because of me hearing about these things about sensory deprivation chambers. And I've always been like, oh, I don't want that because I like, I'm good there. And I am very anxious naturally. So when the lights first went out, there was this moment where I had to like talk to myself and say, you're not going to go crazy. Everything's fine. Like that's not real. But if I didn't believe that, if I didn't have that wise mind that came in there and said, here's why that's not going to happen. And I leaned into the thoughts that were, oh no, something's going to happen. Then I will cause something. That's the whole point of this. Like you will make, your mind will believe what you tell it to believe and what you want to see in a way. And so I think it's the people who are, in a way, it's like the placebo effect.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Yeah, there's this, I understand that the mind is so malleable and that can come in real handy. But if you sort of like, it's like, when you're at a slumber party when you're a kid and you do like the weird Bloody Mary, whatever people do.
Exactly, Suze.
And it's fun. And you kind of can spook yourself and there's like this adrenaline and it's like a fun thing. But like if you do that on this level where you like decide I'm going to go insane,
right?
Well, you might just.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like the people who are at hypnosis shows and like it's like that where you're like,
is it? Do you think that's the same?
I think that like you can convince yourself you're being hypnotized. That takes suggestion. Like it takes somebody else. You can't hypnotize the unwilling. Like if they're not willing to be hypnotized. So I think that you can't do this. Like somebody who is looking for a specific experience will get what they're looking for if.
So, like, have you ever heard of or seen a scenario where you're at one of those fun hypnosis things, and then like somebody just doesn't want to, and then they don't go along with it?
No, because I think that's part of the magician's trick. Because guess who's been pulled up on stage about 5 times to do that? Yours truly. And we already talk about how I'm an accommodator.
She's suggestible.
Totally. And I am served like to make other people feel not awkward and embarrassed. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go along with this for you. So I think they
So they
go her.
can sense
Yes.
if you're one of these people.
How many times have you been called up on stage? Point proven.
Right.
Because you have that look of,
Yeah.
come on.
Well,
And I'm like, oh my God, how is this happening? Make it happen to me. Do it the thing. That's me.
and I think there's a separate percentage of people who might not be so influenced by suggestion, but then won't want to let it down. Like the peer pressure of
Yes.
performing.
Totally.
it.
I was that
So
too.
then there's
Yes.
that group.
100%.
Hey, maybe some of our listeners have done this. Like if you've ever been on one of these stages where you've pretended or acted like or were hypnotized, I want to hear about it.
Yeah.
Because like in your experience, you've reported that you're very aware.
Yeah.
Like you know what's going on. But what?
But it's like, I don't know, like I'm like a puppet with strings, but so somebody could move them, but also I have control of my own
But like when they'll
and
say like,
movements, too. So if I relax and I let somebody else control they can pull the strings.
and then they do the cue, and then it just feels like the right thing to do. or
Yes.
what?
Yes. Correct. That's a good way to put it. It feels like the right thing to do. It feels like if somebody is walking in front of you and you're following them and they open the door and step through, then your job is to then open the door and step through. And if they lift up, it just feels like you're like, oh, this is what I'm. Yes, that's
Wow.
It's a very good way to describe it, Suze.
That is wild.
Feels like what you're
But,
supposed
like,
to do.
Fun. I love that
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
But come on now.
Right.
Bozos.
Right.
Quit,
Now,
like, making
I
these
probably
TikToks.
wouldn't be.
Yeah, I wonder what you'd be like now.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too.
Hey, next meetup, we need a hypnotist, I think.
Yes. Oh my God.
Wouldn't that
would
be
really
hilarious?
fun?
Because that would be a great test because our listeners are very cerebral and,
Yes.
critical thinkers.
Totally.
So, like, would we just get caught up in the fun of it? And then
It's going to be
work?
split down the middle. There's going to be the Sarah type and the Susie type. And there's going to
Right.
be like, I can imagine who it is already. We're like, oh my God, this is so awesome. And then there's going to be the Susie type who are like,
This is ridiculous.
these bozos.
What are we?
Yeah.
These bozos.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's something to think about.
I love it.
Okay. I guess we need to wrap it up. I will say
Good
one more
episode. Good stuff.
Thank you. Maybe you were just out of practice, so you're just like, this is fun.
What? No.
Because we haven't done it in a while.
What? No.
Okay, one last thing. I'm not even going to play the old Gossip theme song because it's too much time, but
No, do it.
I did enjoy this video I watched about Liberace, and then it made me like learn more about Liberace. And I think, we think of him as just like this, the flamboyant.
Almost like a novelty act in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know that, like, from the 50s to the 70s, he was the highest paid entertainer in the world.
What?
Unbelievable.
Oh,
like,
please! You can't tisk that. You can't like that's no novelty
Yeah.
act. That's the best entertainer in the world.
Money talks. I mean, he was the guy. And he is the reason that we use that phrase, I cried all the way to the bank. And the reason that he started saying it was because he started suing anybody that called him gay. Because he was closeted.
Whoa!
And he fought everybody. And I'm going to read you something that a journalist said, and I'm going to get you to tell me why she ended up being liable. Like, what part of this sentence you feel
Okay.
the judge thought was libelous.
Yeah.
Okay. She said, he is everything that he, she, it can ever want. A deadly, winking, sniggering, snuggling, chromium-plated, scent-impregnated, luminous, quivering, giggling, fruit-flavored, mincing, ice-covered heap of mother love. That was what somebody wrote about him. And it was like, I think it was meant to be
like a positive.
flattering. Yeah,
Yeah.
like he's just like everything you could ever want. And she ended up losing the lawsuit, and I wanted to know if you could pick out what you thought was
thing
the
in there
libelous.
was
Yeah, like was there anything that stood out to you? Because I wouldn't have been able to pick what it was.
no. Mother loving?
That's what I would have said.
That, I mean, because it's the only thing that seems like there's
Like,
something.
kinda mean.
But then it feels like not him. It should be her who's, it's like not, I don't know. It's like.
This was a British journalist.
Oh,
and they, the judge felt that the phrase fruit flavored.
Oh, fruit flavored. That's what.
Was the problem because it,
Implied
he was gay. But they needed to find out, like, did she even know that fruit is sort of like a thing that people in America would say?
Yeah.
Would be maybe a slur, kind of. So anyway, but he would sue everybody,
Wow.
and he was adamant that he was not gay. He, of course, was. He had many lovers, and he died of AIDS in the end. And even in his death, he didn't want them to say that he died from AIDS. So they pretended like he died from something else. But then the autopsy person was like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Like so I thought that was so interesting that you could be so, even when you're dead, you care if people think you're gay. Yeah. When you're Liberace,
right,
sir.
Which is, even the name itself has
that was
like
his last name.
Liberal, like, we say like, you are your last name. And
yeah, right.
It's like he was not as free.
I just think, like, if you really wanted to make people think you were straight, maybe don't wear that stuff.
Right.
I mean, if that's important to you, maybe wear a suit.
It must
not diamond.
I feel like he was still signaling. Like that was definitely for a specific audience that probably was also gay and also closeted and also experiencing something similar. And so he's like saying, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, that.
Yeah, and he was a devout Catholic, and I'm sure there was a lot of feelings about all that with religion and all that. Anyway, I thought that was fun. I'm not even going to wind it down because we're running late, but you get it. We covered a lot of stuff.
About. No, I love it.
And we
had to cram it all in before the end of the year. Just kidding.
Yeah, right. And we had a lot of brains and candy, so deal with it. And we'll thank you so much for all of you guys that are checking out our merch.
Yes.
And supporting us that way. It means so much. Anytime you use our codes, it helps us. Anytime you join our Patreon, it helps us. So thank you all.
We have a new sweatshirt design that is my favorite. It is like subtle brain candy, just like a little logo right on the top.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Big fan.
Everybody's getting one of those for the holidays.
See you next time, everybody.
Bye.